Well, hello, my soul friends. It is Victoria on the Soul Nurture channel. How are you doing today? Can you spare a few moments for yourself to come sit with me and take a listen on my offering for this week? Can you? You're worth it. If we don't make time for ourselves and our inner healing and our inner work and our transformational journey, we're going to be on repeat with the same old patterns and the same old story. Is that what you want? I don't think so. Come and join me. I try to do a weekly video. Right now we are in between, we're in the middle of eclipse season. We just had a partial full moon eclipse, and now we're moving closer to the solar eclipse, which is a new moon. And we just had autumn equinox on the 22nd. And it's my favorite season, my favorite time of the year. It's well, when we look at the equinox, I was going to do a video for that, but I've just been so busy, so I'm just keeping my commitment to one video a week. When I have time, I will do more. I am just honoring a call to be here to offer something that may support someone out there. And if it's you, let me know if anything I say reaches you where you are and helps you on your journey. That is my soul mission, to help my fellow souls having a human experience out there reclaim your beautiful and unique soul potential and nurture that into your highest possibilities. That's what I love to do, and that's what I do on my one-on-ones or facilitating retreats or groups. And a lot of those things have been kind of on hold right now because I've got a lot of projects going on that have prevented me from doing that. But I am part of a retreat happening in January. It's sold out. It's called Let Your Soul Shine, and this one is in Cabo. And like I said, it's sold out, but we are going to do more of those to follow. And anyway, welcome to the channel. How are you feeling during eclipse season? What are you noticing? I'm going to start there, even though this particular video isn't really an astrology video. Astrology is just one of my tools in my soul work kit or basket of goodies of a tool that can help offer some guidance, some reflection, some support. And that's what I love, calling it the astrological weather or the soul map, to reclaim your potential, to be validated on your journey, where you're at and what's still possible. That's my favorite thing to do. I did a soul chart review for someone a week or so ago, and what she said in one line was just everything to me, because it's what I desire from my mission and supporting others. And it was something like, your session brought me back to myself. Oh, I love that. That's the goal. Anyway, so I am going to be talking a little bit about the astrology, very little. Come back if you're more interested in astrology. In a few days, I'm going to do the solar eclipse in Libra, which, you may be already feeling. Like I said, we're in eclipse season. Eclipse season happens twice a year, every 6 months. And it is like, preparing us, shifting us to change, to evolve to what our soul is desiring for us, what we're desiring, redirecting us, course correcting us. The harbingers of change is what I once read, and I thought that was a really beautiful way to talk about it. When we're in eclipse season, we can pretty much count on something significant is going to change in our lives, in the world, for the evolving of higher and greater yet to be. Okay, so, but what I want to talk about today, because this is my favorite season, the season of love, when the sun goes into Libra. The equinox was the 22nd, which is the day of equal day and equal night. And it brings us into Libra season, ruled by Venus, all about love, relationships, harmony, balance. And so I thought, what do I want to talk about? The number one question I get from clients or people who want a soul chart review is relationships. They want to know about relationships. When's someone coming in and what's going on with the one I'm in, And so I thought I wanted to talk about that. But the other thing on my radar this morning when I decided to do a video was sabotage. self-sabotaging. So those two topics I'm going to weave together. Is it speaking to anyone yet? By the way, please do let me know where you're viewing from if you haven't already. Even if you think you have told me, tell me again, because I may not remember. And I love to know where all my viewers are out there. That's so much fun for me. And also drop a comment whenever I touch on something that connects with you, or you resonate with it, or you have questions about it. Feel free. You are unlimited with comments. Comment as much as you want. The more comments, the more likes and subscriptions, the more you all help me outreach my personal soul mission out to those in the YouTube world. YouTube videos work with algorithms. I don't know how they work, kind of magical. Sometimes I get like 4,000 views and sometimes I get like 50. So I'm not doing this necessarily, or not at all really, for the followers. You know, I'm not gonna lie. Do I love when I get a lot of views on a video and a lot of comments and a lot of likes? Of course, I'm human. But it isn't like my intention to monetize and to have like all these viewers. It is to make sure I reach the people that I have something to offer to help them reclaim their soul potential and offer something to nurture the soul potential and to help navigate this human experience as souls with soul perspective. And if you've had a soul chart review with me, having your soul map to guide you, right? Okay. Oh, and on that note, I have caught up, I believe, with all the 20-minute consultations that were requested. I'm only doing 4 now with each video. I'm offering, when I've got clear and I've got room, I do have 4 spaces for free 20-minute consultations. If you've had a consultation, please comment, or if you've had a reading, or if you've had a session and you feel comfortable, share a little bit in the comments. I honor your confidentiality, so if you don't feel comfortable, please don't. But send me an email. But the reason I want some activity in the comments about that is that I do love to offer the 20-minute consultations. I love doing the soul chart readings, and I love, love, love offering what I have in my, as I said, in my basket of soul work goodies. And so one of my favorite things to help clients with is relationships. So here we are in relationship season. This is when my relationship started on the equinox 22 years ago. It's when we first said, yeah, this is something here and we're going to pursue this. We got engaged a while later on the equinox, and then we got married on September 28th. So this is the month of love, harmony, balance, beauty. And when you think about the equinox, equal day, equal night, that's, to me, ultimately relationships, right? The balance and the harmony. So, how are your relationships going? And really, how is your primary relationship going? Now, I don't mean with your spouse or a partner. I mean with you. And that's really what I want to talk about. Like I said, this idea of relationships and self-sabotaging came on my radar this morning. And I'm going to weave them together. So, how is your relationship going? And I mean your relationship with yourself, and by extension, your relationship with your, primary partner, or your second primary partner, your first. And where are you sabotaging yourself or your relationships? Now, this gets tricky, and I'm going to go into it a little bit. Is it sabotage when in relationship, or is it feedback? So we're going to talk about that today. And I have a couple quotes. So let me start with the quotes, and then I'll kind of bring to light what I have on my heart. I take a few notes, but really what I love to do is try to get to that place that I can reach in session, where it becomes more of my own soul wisdom speaking, or connecting to, connecting into my clients and listening to their own wisdom bubbling up, and utilizing that to get to the healing, the transformation, to clarity, to choice, right? So Here's one quote. I love this from Debbie Ford. And by the way, right where we are again, I'm going to talk lightly about astrology. I'll talk more about it in the next video for the solar eclipse. But we are right now, Venus also, so the sun moved into Libra on the 22nd, and also Venus, the planet of love, moved into Scorpio. So it is when whatever planet is in Scorpio, we have more intensity there. We have more focus. We have more laser focus. We have more desire to transform and deepen, to get underneath the blocks and and blast free from them, right? To deconstruct and reconstruct from a scorpionic lens of really getting to the root of the matter, or in this case, the heart of the matter, since we're talking about love. Okay, so if you're serious about achieving what you desire and deserve, you have to constantly ask yourself, is this an act of self-love, or is it an act of self-sabotage? The key to a successful, fulfilled life is self-love. So I'm giving you the key straight away. But I chose the Debbie Ford quote because Venus in Scorpio and eclipse season is a time to do your shadow work. Shadow work regarding relationships. And that's a whole nother topic, but I'll just say I invite you to do your shadow work, which is to look at, follow the triggers, follow your, where you're judging others, or where you have shame regarding relationships, or you're obsessing somewhere. You're kind of on a loop with something in the subconscious, in the shadow, that has been repressed, denied, hidden, and it's needing to come to the light to bring you into your wholeness, right? Okay. So self-love is key, and maybe I should have saved that up towards the end, because that is like, we're getting to telling you the end of the story at the beginning, but that's okay. Let's start here. On a scale of 1 to 10, I love, when I work with my clients, to bring awareness, and one awareness tool is just assessing. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being really high, doing really well, 1 not so much. Where is your level of self-love right now? And be honest, okay? This is a key. So here's the thing about relationships. If you're in an unhealthy relationship with yourself, you can't expect to create a healthy relationship with someone else. And that's also, you can look at the other side of that. If you're in a relationship with someone who's in a unhealthy relationship with themselves, you can't expect them to know how to be in a healthy relationship with you, right? It's pretty logical, right? So what do we miss? Why do we miss this? Because, for a quick overview of how the mind works, and since I'm a transformational hypnotherapist, I work with the subconscious mind, which we occupy 95% of the time. Only 5% are we in our conscious awareness, navigating the world. But when we make choices like to be in a relationship, or deal with money, or we deal with anything, conscious choices as a human, right, having a life, we reference our subconscious programmed material. All the programmed material that we took in, mostly between 0 to 7, in order to feel safe in this world. Primary need for all humans is to be safe. So in order to be safe, we take in information, or downloaded with a lot of information without choice. Just, this is what these people called my family do, so I'm going to do that. So I'll be accepted, I'll belong, I'm safe, needs met. And that's where conditioning starts, right? That's where our beautiful, unique soul expression has to kind of be put on hold so we can navigate and feel safe. And so, quite simply, I say it like this. We have a computer brain, a computer mind, We have all the hardwire. Is that right? I'm not a computer person, but I love this analogy. Like, in other words, you don't have to think about beating your heart or um, running all the things that your body is doing. That's all happening automatically, right? But in order to navigate life, you need to have what I call references. We look to our primary teachers, our parents, or our siblings. How are these people doing life? And since I'm focusing on relationship, what does relationship look like through the lens of what my parents demonstrated, or if you have older siblings like I do, what their relationships look like? But number one is what's being taken in. Remember, we don't have the awareness when we're younger to say, that doesn't work for me. I don't want to believe that about myself. We just take in this information in order to survive, really. So we adapt, we get conditioned, we get familiar with patterns from our family of origin that may limit us from fulfilling the desires of our soul, having the relationship we desire, right? I hope this isn't too complicated, but it's important to talk about because the majority of the time we are choosing from that subconscious mind. I want to get into that. Okay, so take a moment here and think about, and sometimes my clients, this question stumps them, right? And if you're stumped by this question, it tells you how little you know about what you want to experience, okay? Even though you may say, I want a healthy relationship and I want to have this experience, if your subconscious mind doesn't have information and you can't even consciously articulate, you really are probably going to be in sabotaging territory. And I'll say more about that in a moment. So, what does a healthy relationship even look like to you? What does it look like? What is it? What are the qualities? What needs need to be met there? And the reason why this is important, if you don't even know, you won't even be able to draw in the healthy relationship, right? The subconscious mind is gonna keep you on repeat of patterns that it is familiar with, the patterns you developed when you were little in the household you were in, and that's what's familiar, even if consciously it's not what you want. Does this make sense? Let me know in the comments. And so the other piece of this that's really, really important is how you experience people with you. In other words, the way your parents were with you or weren't with you. In my case, my dad wasn't with me. I did not grow up with a dad. So I had to completely reconstruct, like, what does a relationship look like? What is it like to have male presence in your life, right? When I was younger, I used to be nervous, so uncomfortable around men because I didn't grow up with men, right? Until my brother-in-law came into my life when I was about 8 years old, and he was, my older sister's husband, and he was kind of like a surrogate dad for me. And so how people are with you or without you, or in other words, they don't show up the way you needed, but you don't know that back then. You just adapt and you formulate, this is love, this is relationship. And so you tend to be that way with yourself. So in other words, so my dad left when I was born, which is abandonment, right? So for years and years and years, and still to this day, I have to catch myself, I would abandon myself. My mom, again, parents do the best they can. I always have to say that disclaimer, the best they can with the programming they had. And ultimately, it's our responsibility to do the healing, sift through the wounds, and harvest our gifts and utilize that towards our soul purpose. But my mom, being a single mom, I had a lot of wounds, and what I believed about my relationship with my mom is that I wasn't worthy of attention or connection, and I was neglected. So that translates to relationship with myself. The two wounds I had to heal in the primary relationship with myself was healing the neglect and healing the abandonment. This is inner child work I'm talking about now. And no longer willing to neglect myself, no longer willing to abandon myself in order to reconstruct a healthy relationship. So that list I invite you to make. What does a healthy relationship look like? We then apply it to ourselves. Okay, so that may look like a healthy relationship is built on trust. A healthy relationship it has honesty. A healthy relationship is support and encouragement and unconditional love, and whatever yours are. So then you say, okay, how am I doing in my primary relationship? Am I being honest with myself? Am I showing up for myself? Am I loving myself unconditionally? Am I encouraging myself? Am I supporting myself? Do you get it, right? Now, this is really, really important, because if you didn't receive this in your family of origin, it wasn't modeled for you. You don't have adequate references in your subconscious mind. You have to recreate it. And if you don't, this is where sabotage happens. So, first of all, back to primary relationship with self. If you weren't role modeled good self-care, like you didn't see your mom practicing good self-care, you didn't see your dad showing up with the healthy masculine, just which would teach you how to have that for yourself as a man or a woman, which is being assertive and confident. If you didn't have those healthy references, that's where you are. That's what you know. That's all you know. And so when I keep saying it's what you know, that's your comfort zone. Comfort zone is kind of an oxymoron, because it's where we're comfortable. It's what we know, what we're familiar with, even though it may hurt you. Being abandoned hurts, but I kept abandoning myself because it was familiar. It was my comfort zone. I knew that. I could do that all. That's what I could do. Familiar with it. On pattern, on repeat, on replay, right? So comfort zone, when we get to the edge of the comfort zone, this is where the ego blocks us. Like, wait a minute, you don't want to change. You don't want to do something different. Because remember, the majority of our programming was created to keep us safe. So that's where most people will hit that wall of the comfort zone. Like, I'm at the edge, about to break free to move towards all I desire, but I have resistance. And then maybe you notice you start sabotaging yourself. So I'm giving you kind of the answers in what I'm saying. If you think about it, if you didn't have a healthy role model, what do you need to have a healthy relationship? You need to find new sources of people modeling the behavior, the kind of relationship you want. And the people who honor themselves, who have healed themselves and reclaimed themselves through inner child work or shadow work or transformational work like I offer, and have come into relationship with self in a loving way, in a supportive way, in all the ways you needed when you were younger and there was no one available for you in that way, you are that person now. And I guarantee you, I always remind my clients that you have what you need because you're giving it to other people on the daily. So pay attention to that, right? Notice how you show up for friends or your own kids. That's what you still need for your wholeness, for your evolving to the next highest potential of relationship with yourself and with others. Okay, so in other words, you continue to treat yourself the way you were treated until you break the pattern and say, I am worthy. So 2 keys when shifting into healthy relationship with self in order to create healthy relationship with others: claim that it's safe for you to make these changes and that you are worthy. Okay? Any questions? Okay. All right. I got invited to speak to a group, and it's so funny. I've been online now so much, and all my sessions are virtual. I was like, do I even know how to be in person with a group anymore? I don't know, but I'm going to have to try it out, right? Okay. So become who you needed and still need to attract someone who can dance the dance of authentic fulfillment with you. Okay? You know that old saying, we teach people how to treat us. And then when we wake up to say that I'm so much more than this, we teach them a new way by being in a new relationship with ourselves. Okay? So that's all good, right? So let me just see. I had an example here. If you don't know what a healthy relationship looks like or feels like, you begin to unconsciously sculpt into something. You sculpt the relationship you're in into something that's more familiar, or you unconsciously pick someone who's very familiar to what you grew up with. In other words, if you grew up in a family with a lot of anger, or if there's alcoholism, which was my case, you'll either draw in someone who's angry, or become the person who's angry, or draw in somebody who's an alcoholic, or become the alcoholic. Why? Because it's familiar. That's what we have woven into the subconscious mind as, I know this territory and I can navigate this. But your soul is always inviting you to think beyond the limitations. But when we hit that edge of the comfort zone, that's where we shrink and go back in to the limited ways, right? It really takes a lot of courage to claim your potential and to walk a path of healing and transformation. And it's not just a one-time, I did my inner work, I'm good to go. It's a continual journey of unlayering, of letting go, especially during eclipse season, realizing what's not working, what could work better, where have you denied yourself, what do you need to believe about yourself in order to achieve what you desire? What does it look like? And you're worthy of that, right? Okay, so that example, say, what you grew up with in your love file, because I'm speaking about love, this is what you know, it's normal. And so if you try to recreate something, you may not feel safe, you may feel uncomfortable, you may feel like something is wrong. And when I say safe, I don't mean like physically safe. It's like a psychic safe, like a mind and body feeling of, I don't feel safe and I don't know why. I feel uncomfortable, even though something good is right there for you. I remember a long time ago, this is coming to mind right now, so I'll share it. Was when my niece, one of my nieces was going through her journey with cancer, and ultimately she passed away. And I remember saying to my sister, this is a wake-up call, and this may sound harsh, but I said something like, your daughter could have walked out the door and got hit by a car, and that would be the end of your human experience with her anyway. The last thing you said to her and the patterns you were stuck in. But she's now facing cancer. And so it's an opportunity to say, how can I do better in relationship with myself so I can be better in relationship with my daughter? And to do things differently. So I remember my other niece calling me, because I had been kind of coaching my sister, choose love, choose, to speak kind words into your kids. Like that's just something, having both my parents die when I was young, it's something so important to me. Like with my husband, I'm very mindful, like if I'm running out to the store, I call it, what do I call it? My epic goodbyes, because if these are the last words I say to him, something, God forbid, happens if I go to the store and I don't come back, I don't want the last words to be like, do we need toilet paper? So we are mindful that way. Like we have a standard, something we say, which is, come back to me, which makes me cry because it's our anniversary month and I'm full of love. But come back to me means not only in this lifetime, but every lifetime, come back to me. And so my niece called me and she said, what are you doing with Mom? I said, what do you mean? What am I doing with mom? She said, she's so weird. She's acting so weird. I said, okay, well, tell me what weird means. What do you mean? She said, she comes in my room every morning and she says, good morning, I love you. And so she said, and it's so freaking me out. That's what I'm talking about, the edge of our comfort zone of all we know. My sister at the time was driven by her wounds and didn't know, she wasn't role modeled what it was like to have consistent love in her life either. Her dad, our dad left when she was young. And so there was a lot of fear in her, and maybe it didn't come out as love all the time. Remember, I'm crying in my own video. It's okay. It's good to cry. And eclipse season too, have you noticed maybe more intensity of tears? Maybe you're feeling a little bit more tired. Things are being stirred up. So it's to be brought forward for you to see, to be eclipsed and to be then shown the illuminated way forward. Okay. Anyway, where was I? So this is the opportunity. We have to practice something different that we're not familiar with to get the new comfort zone expanded beyond the previous limitations, to become receptive to what we say we desire. And if not, if it feels unfamiliar and it feels weird, we may sabotage it to get it back to what we know that is familiar. Is this making sense? This is not just about love, but it's about every pattern you're trying to change. Remember, especially when it comes to family dynamics and relationship dynamics, if you've been in a long-term relationship, it's harder to turn that freight ship around because everybody's comfortable in the way it's been going, comfortable with the patterns and the way you've taught them to be with you. And suddenly you're like, hey, everybody, I'm waking up and I'm not doing the old patterns anymore. I'm breaking free so that I can reclaim my highest potential for me and by extension, offering you another way of being with me. But not everybody's going to be able to meet you there initially, but you must meet yourself there all the time. Okay. So a couple of things I wanted to say. Why else could you be sabotaging your relationship? Again, if you're sabotaging your relationship with yourself, first look there. I'm going to be really, really, really vulnerable right now. But so like I said, I grew up with my mom, beautiful, compassionate woman, but she was an alcoholic and not available. Just remember I'd come home from school or whatever, my mom would be already gone, sleeping or drunk. And that was her coping mechanism. And so quite recently, during the pandemic in particular, I started noticing I'm doing that pattern. I think a lot of us did, but I'm just checking out. I'm just drinking a little bit more than, a glass of wine with dinner. And to me, that was self-sabotage. I was self-sabotaging because I didn't have enough. I needed more information. When you're sabotaging, it means you need more information about doing the thing you want to do or experiencing what you want to experience. Otherwise, your brain kind of fritzes and it kind of goes, well, let's go back then. Let's go backwards where and then you reference what your coping mechanisms were back then. And so, oh gosh, I remember writing in my journal during the pandemic, this is really, gosh, I don't know, I'm being so, I know why Mercury's making an aspect here on us. I'm saying more than maybe I want to, but I'm going to say it if it helps somebody. Because I remember writing in my journal about that time when I was drinking a lot, like a note like this. It was like, I went looking for my mom in the last place I remember seeing her, in the bottom of a bottle of gin, something like that. And then I wrote that. I was like, whoa, I'm in unconscious pattern. There's also a sabotaging pattern I call it the loyalty bond. When you're missing someone like your mom, your dad, or a previous love, and there were unhealthy patterns in that relationship, and you start missing that. I know it's true. You can. And then the loyalty bond, and start doing the patterns that you remember that they did. in some strange unconscious way makes you feel connected, right? Okay, so fear of abandonment or intimacy is a big reason why we sabotage. Also, it's kind of an oxymoron, right? I fear abandonment, yet I'm going to push someone away. So I'm not abandoned. And what are you doing? Abandoning your dreams, abandoning what you want, abandoning yourself. Okay. You could also have issues with you just don't have healthy relationship skills. You don't have communication skills. You haven't learned, this is very key, how to identify your own needs. What do I need? We all have unique needs that activate and cultivate our unique potential. So identifying your needs, being able to speak to your needs, study compassionate communication, nonviolent communication, very, very important work. Or you could be, again, feeling not worthy enough or having low self-esteem. And so even though consciously you say, I want this kind of a relationship, this is what I want, a healthy relationship, and it may show up and you haven't done enough of the deep cleaning on the inner in order to choose from clarity. I say this, you're either choosing from your wounds or you're choosing from your gifts and your empowered self. And you can feel the difference in your body, right? The more you tune into your body, ask yourself, is this my wound or is this my truth and my empowered self, right? Okay, so what else? Remember this, that relationships are mirrors to your inner world. So what's being reflected back to you? This is the time, the season. More than ever, we have the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra, and this solar eclipse, which I'll talk about more in a few days, is connected to the South Node, which means it's more letting go, more purging, readjusting, so that you can evolve to the next possibility with relationship. It's about clearing codependent relationships, and these are sneaky. You can find them if you're willing to look. Codependency, taking care of others before yourself, with the hope that your needs will be met eventually. Codependency is putting up with behavior that you shouldn't be tolerating because you're afraid of losing the love. Here's the thing I want to say. Love can never be lost. You can love someone from a distance. You can love in a different way. But when you're afraid of losing someone or losing their love, you're not loving yourself enough. I feel like someone needs to hear that. When you're afraid of moving out of your comfort zone because you're afraid of change or losing a situation that you're not even happy in, you're not loving yourself enough. Love is, and I say this with heavy heart for my friends out there that are grieving, and you know who you are, and my heart's with you. I've got a few friends right now that are having to learn how to love, not in the physical form, but in the eternal spiritual way. That love is eternal, right? Okay, so back to us. And back to this. I'm going to wrap this up soon. I'm going longer than I thought. But it's a love story, and love takes time to really look at consciously, right? One thing I do want to offer, which is key, is to look at your parents' relationship. What did your parents teach you about love, and where are you still repeating that? And here's the thing I really want you to get, especially during this time of empowered shifting. You have the power to change now. You don't have to be on repeat what you saw your mom do, your dad do, what your limited love story looked like as a child. You get to reclaim your true love story. When you reclaim your self-worth, claim that it's safe for you to move out of that limited space you've been living in, and to expand into your potential relationships. I celebrate my love this every year, every day, because I grew into my authentic self, into an authentic relationship. And so did my husband, and we constantly are learning and growing, and we are committed to that. I always say to my single friends, that needs to be number one on your list. Your partner is willing to do their inner work, their soul work, and to take personal responsibility for what they're bringing to the relationship, as we do also, right? So, a few questions, and then I'm going to wrap up. So, every relationship you're in, especially your intimate ones, because your intimate relationship is like they're in the bubble with you and you're in their bubble too. So it's hard to see whose is what. Is that yours? Is that mine? There's a lot of projection going on in intimate relationships. It's hard to see beyond what you've taught them to how to be with you, and whose wounds up, and where you're in a wound story as opposed to an empowered story. But taking personal responsibility. Where is this mine? What is being reflected back to you? Do you like what you see? Where are you out of balance? This is key for Libra season. Are you in the same old patterns on replay? Are you desiring something more but staying and tolerating something that's limiting because it's what you're most familiar with? What lessons have you learned? And this is key because that's how we get out of jail. You have the key when you look and reflect on the lessons learned that open a new door to new possibilities, okay? And then, again, back to self. How are you with yourself? How are you treating yourself? How are you taking care of yourself? I had a conversation with a client today. I have this conversation all the time with my clients about the word selfish. People are so afraid of being called selfish, but selfish is self-care. If you're not taking care of yourself, who the heck do you expect is going to do that, right? And if you're not taking care of yourself, you're teaching other people that you don't matter that much. Don't take care of me because I don't take care of me, right? So what is your self-care practice like? Where do you let yourself down? Where do you neglect yourself, abandon yourself, don't show up for yourself, aren't present to yourself? Maybe you got a good self-care practice. You go to the gym every day. You work hard. You do all the things. You go to all the parties. You go to all the mixers, but you're not present to yourself. Guess what? You're going to call in a partner who isn't present to you. Is that what you want? I don't think so. So notice again where that healthy relationship plan that you have, that desire you have, how you're doing in your own relationship with you. Okay. And most importantly, do your inner work. You know, I always say the soul, we're living in this body, which is like the house our soul lives in. And we need to declutter. We need to clear out. We need to get the cobwebs out of the dark spaces that we won't look at. And we need to clean our inner mirror. The clearer and cleaner that inner mirror is, the clearer the choice in relationship is. Okay, I think that's all I have. Also, do notice too, because it feels like a lot, I know, how far you've come in relationships, how much you've learned, how much you've grown, and how you can apply that. So it's all about, just to wrap up a little bit here, self-love. Increase your self-love. Pay attention or do a little inventory of what you learned about love from your family of origin. What you learned doing research, I call it. When you're in a relationship, that's research. You're seeing what works, what doesn't work, what could be better, right? So do the research in all of your relationships. Do an inventory of your intimate relationships. What did you learn? What unconscious patterns were in play? Where were you tolerating less than what you deserve? And what showed up that showed you what's in your unconscious love file? And once you have awareness, you have the power of choice to change, right? And most importantly, continually identify, what does a healthy relationship look like? And do a vision board around that and say, that's for me, that's for me, that's for me. I'm worthy, I'm safe. Okay, I'm going to leave you with this last quote and then I got to go. I'm at 44 minutes. My goodness. Okay, I don't even remember what the quote is, but here it is. When we say we want something and then work to prevent it from happening, that is self-sabotage. That's Alice Corin Selby. So I'd say this: when you say you desire something, know that you're worthy and it's safe for you, and authorize that change and go for what you desire. You're worth it. All right. So much love. Let me know what you took away from this and where you're viewing from, and I'll see you next week. Okay, bye.